Alright guys, Coach Gu here and welcome back to another episode of fun-filled, action-packed, flipped geometry classroom video. So today we're going to be starting off the new unit 4, and we're going to be kicking it off with some definitions, okay? So it's very important that we get these definitions down now because unit 4 is about parallel lines and similar triangle proofs. Yes, more proofs. And remember, if you don't know the definitions, then you're not going to be able to do the proofs. So let's learn these definitions. Okay, so first, in the top left, we're starting off with adjacent angles. Say it with me. Adjacent angles. And adjacent angles are two angles that are next to each other and share a common side. For example, let me bust out the ruler. I'm gonna change up the colors because someone asked me to use different colors. So here we go. Watch this, and watch me. Okay, so check this out. I've got one thing right here, but look at this. They're gonna share a common side. So they're gonna share this side right here. Actually, let me make it more uneven so you know. Right here. So notice these are two angles because look, here's angle 1. Here's angle 1 and here's angle 2. These are adjacent angles because they're next to each other. 1 and 2 are next to each other and they share a common side. They share that orange ray. They share that side. So these are, what are they? Adjacent angles. All right, moving on. Next, we have vertical angles. Say it with, repeat after me. Vertical angles. And vertical angles are two angles that are across from each other on intersecting lines. And they are always congruent. They are 100% of the time congruent. So let me draw you an example of vertical angles. There's intersecting lines, right? So here's some intersecting lines. I'm gonna draw it like an X. Alrighty. And they are across from each other. So if I number these angles, 1, 2, 3, and 4, which ones are across from each other? 1 and 3 are across from each other. And 2 and 4 are across from each other. And what else does it say? They are always congruent. So we need to label that with these lines through the angle. Just like that. So 1 and 3 are congruent and 2 and 4 are congruent. The opposite ones on intersecting lines. And this is called vertical angles. Now it doesn't have to be a perfect X like this. It can be any pair of intersecting lines. So let me draw you some other examples. It could be like this. It could be like this. It could be like this. And both of these are also vertical angles. There are vertical angles in here. It's just the angles that are across from each other. So color coded, look, right here, here, here and here, right here and here, and there, and there. And they're always congruent. That is the very important part. And now last but not least, we've got the linear pair. And that's going to be two angles that are adjacent. Oh my goodness, we're using a word that we learned already. They are adjacent and supplementary. Supplementary. They form a straight line. Real quick for those who don't know, let's get a refresher. There's two types of angles. Complementary. Well, in this sense, complementary and supplementary. Complementary, the angles add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary, the angles add up to 180 degrees. And one of my students gave me this cool trick. Watch this. How can I remember that? Well, complementary, look, it starts with a C. All I have to do is draw a line down, 0. That's 90 degrees. Supplementary starts with an S. All I have to do is put the line through. That makes it 8, 1, 0, 180 degrees. So if that helps you out, then use that. So a linear pair is two angles that are adjacent and supplementary. That means they add up to 180 degrees. And they form a straight line. So, for example, it would look something like this. Alright, so if you see here, we've got angle 1 and angle 2. 1 and 2 are adjacent because they're right next to each other and they share a common side, the orange line, and they are supplementary. They form a straight line. That means measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 equals what? Because they're supplementary? 180 degrees. That's right. And so that is a linear pair. All right, now we're going to hop into some examples. So remember these vocabulary terms: adjacent angles, vertical angles, and linear pair. All right, guys, so we're going to do some examples. Look right here, vertical angles. It gives you a hint by telling vertical angles, and it wants you to solve for x. So vertical angles, all we have to do is find what x is. So look right here. That's 6x minus 21. This angle is vertical angles with which one? Which ones are vertical angles? Let me label it. Let me label it for you. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which numbers are vertical angles? Which pair up? So 1 and 3 are a pair. They're vertical angles. And 2 and 4 are vertical angles. And vertical angles are always congruent. If you say congruent, give yourself a little high five right there. Alright, so they're congruent, which means that the measure is equal. So 2 and 4 should have equal measures. So if I want to find x, all I have to do is set them equal to each other. So 6x minus 21 equals 105. Now what are we going to do from here? Add 21 to both sides via the addition property of equality. So we've got 6x equals 126. Then we're going to divide both sides by 6 to get x alone. And let me bring it down over here. And x equals 21. And we divided both sides by 6, so that would be the division property of equality. That's not necessary. I'm just telling you just so we can get a little bit more practice in. So x would equal 21. And would that be degrees? No, you don't need to write degrees because the degrees, look, it's right here on the outside. So you can just leave x as the number. It's 21. All right, moving on to the next one. Linear pair. Solve for q. What do linear pairs always do with each other? They add to 180 degrees. So that means that, let me label these. Angle 1 right here and angle 2 right here would add up to be 180 degrees. They want you to solve for q. So if I add these two angles, 3q plus 15q plus 18, that's going to equal 180. That is the definition of supplementary. So now let's just write it out. So 3q plus 15q. Let me get rid of the parentheses. That's just to make sure we don't mess it up. Plus equals 180. So first we're going to combine like terms on the left side. 3q plus 15q is 18q plus 18 equals 180. Next, with the subtraction property of equality, we're going to subtract 18 from both sides. That's going to leave us with 18q equals 162. And finally, we're going to divide both sides by 18. Divide by 18, divide by 18. And let me get on my calculator. 162 divided by 18. Oh, that's going to be 9. So, q equals 9. And once again, we can just leave q as the number. We don't need to write the degree sign because the degree sign is outside. So q equals 9. Circle my answer. And there we have it. Alright guys, so you try these 4 on your own and we will check it in class next time with your teacher. But that's going to be the end of this video. So until next time guys, peace.